Hello everybody, we are back with another visual pattern challenge. Here is step 1 of this pattern, here's step 2, and here's step 3. This one looks a little funny, we've got all kinds of different shapes here. Your challenge is to figure out how many shapes of any sort are going to be in step number 4. So can you look at this pattern and figure out how many in step 4? And then if you can do that, can you predict the number in step 43? And can you write an equation that could be used to predict the number of shapes in any step at all? If you'd like to accept that challenge, pause the video and give it a try. Okay, so at first glance, this looks a little complicated. We've got these red trapezoids and yellow hexagons, and then these green triangles are appearing. But really, we're just trying to predict the number of shapes that show up in any step. And I think the best way to do that is just to start counting them. So I've got 2 shapes in step 1. I've got well, there's the original 2 right there. And what have I added? 2 triangles and then a trapezoid and a hexagon, so 4 more. And then let's see, this part is step 2, and I've done the same thing. So I've added 2 triangles and a trapezoid and a hexagon. So if I were to predict step 4, I would add another triangle here and here, and then another trapezoid, and then another hexagon as well. So that would be another 4 shapes added on there. What would the total be for step 4 then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like 14 shapes in step number 4. Well, that wasn't too bad. I think this pattern also is going to be a pretty simple thing to express as an equation. It looks linear to me, but let's verify that by listing out the numbers. So I'm going to put the step number in a chart here and then the number of shapes in each step. So in step 1, we've got 2 shapes. In step 2, yeah, we've added those 4 more, so that should be 6. And in step 3, we've added 4 more on top of that, so that should be 10. And in step 4, we're predicting 14. When we get our numbers listed, what we like to do is take the differences. So 6 minus 2 is 4, 10 minus 6 is 4, 14 minus 10 is 4. And that matches with what we saw up there visually. We're adding 4 shapes every turn. And if this change, this difference, is a constant, then we know the pattern is indeed linear. And a linear pattern can be modeled with a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. That's the equation for a line. The m, in this case, will represent the change in each step, the rate of change. So we would have y equals 4x. And the b is a number we use to adjust to fit what we actually have up here in each step. So let's just try this. X is the step number. So to predict the number of shapes, we'd say y equals 4 times the x number plus something, but I don't know what that is yet. If I calculated this, 4 times 1 in step 1 would be 4. That would be too many, right? We just have 2 shapes here. So to get down to 2 from here, I'd have to subtract 2. So what that means is our b actually is going to be a negative 2. But let's take this equation now and try it out in a couple of other steps. So y equals 4 times step 2 minus 2. Well, 4 times 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6. And that's how many steps or shapes we have in step 2. Let's try step 3. Y equals 4 times 3 minus 2. And that 4 times 3 would be 12, minus 2 is 10. And yes, that's how many shapes we have in step 3. So this looks like a good equation. I'm going to jot it down here. Y equals 4x minus 2. Now to predict the shapes in step 43, well, we will just plug in 43 for that step number for x. So y equals 4 times 43 minus 2. And 4 times 43, let's see, 4 times 40 is 160, and 4 times 3 is 12. So that would be 172 minus 2. So that would just be 170 shapes in step 43. If you wanted to go a little further with this one, you could predict how many of each of the shapes in step 43. And I don't think that would be too hard. How many red trapezoids? You've got 1 in step 1, 2 in step 2. How many in step 43? Same for the hexagons. Maybe the triangles are a little harder, but I bet you could do it. All right, well, how did that one go for you? Did you get 14? Did you get 170? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.